All right, so we've had a decent introduction to factoring trinomials, but the trinomial had all positive terms. So if you have all positive terms, all your factors are positive, it's just plus, 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 plus. As soon as we throw in a negative or a subtraction, we have to put a little bit more thought into this. So in this example, we're going to look at factoring our trinomial x squared plus bx plus c when b is less than 0 and c is greater than 0. So let's write that out in words. When we say c is greater than 0, we always look at the c value first. That means that c is positive. So if you have a positive c value and b is less than 0, that means that b is negative. We're going to factor these, or we're going to show how to factor these in this example. All right, so what is the factored form of x squared minus 11x plus 18? So focus on your c value first. We need factors of 18, and 18 is positive. So that's the first thing we're going to note, is our c value is positive. So here's the thing. If you multiply two numbers together and you get a positive result, that means you could multiply two positive numbers together. So for example, 1 times 18 is 18. But you also could multiply two negative numbers together. Negative 1 times negative 18 is also equal to 18. So when we say that we need factors of c, and that's a positive number, it's possible that we want positive factors. It's also possible that we want negative factors. So that's what we're going to sort through in this example. So factors of 18, let's list those first. It is a positive 18. So 1 times 18, we go in order. Our next 2 fits in 9 times. 3 is a factor with 6. 4 is not a factor. 5 is not a factor. 6 is a factor, but I've already got it listed, so we've got all of our factors. All right, now our sums, when we add these together, we are looking for those to add up to a negative 11. So if your b value is negative, that means that I need these factors to both be negative. That's the only way to add those two together and get them to be a negative sum. So we have a positive c value. They have to add up to a negative number, so that means all of your factors are negative. Those are the ones we will consider. So now let's find the sums. Negative 1 plus negative 18 is negative 19. Negative 2 plus negative 9 is negative 11. Negative 3 plus negative 6 is negative 9. And we want the one that adds up to negative 11. So our binomial factors will be x minus 2 times x minus 9. All right, so let's take a look at two more examples. Factor the trinomial, look at the c value first, and take note, c is positive. So if c is positive, that means you have two positive factors, or you could have two negative factors. So let's list our factors first. So factors of 15. We have 1 and 15. 2 is not a factor. 3 and 5 are factors. 4 is not. 5 is, but we already have it listed, so we've got all of our factors. Now look at your b value. Your b value is negative. So if your b value is negative, that means we need negative factors, and we make them all negative. That's the only way, if these are both negative, to multiply to that positive 15. All right, do we see a pair that's going to add up to a negative 8? And hopefully you guys are already finding that negative 3, negative 5. So that will factor into the two binomials, x minus 3 times x minus 5. And there's our factored form of that trinomial. All right, part B, x squared minus 13x plus 42. What are we going to look at first? Always start with your c value. Is it positive or negative? C is positive. Great. Let's list our factors of 42. Starting with 1 and 42, 2 is a factor with 21. Is 3 a factor of 42? If you weren't sure, all you'd have to do is just take 42 and divide it by 3 and see if you get an answer that's not a decimal. 3 is a factor with 14. 4 is not a factor, 5 is not a factor, 6 is a factor with 7, and then 7 would be the next one to check, which is on my list, so we've got all of our factors. Now look at your B value. Our B value is negative. So if your B is negative with a positive C value, that means you need all negative factors. It's the only way to add those factors together and get a negative result. So we look through the list. We're looking for any factor pair that's going to add up to negative 13. And we get down to this negative 6, negative 7, and we have found what we need. So our binomial factors, one of them is x minus 6, and the other one is x minus 7.